My name is Rosa. I'm standing in a grocery store aisle, my son Noah by my side, passionately arguing for a box of cereal covered in cartoon marshmallows. Suddenly, I hear my name called from behind me. It's not the warm way friends say it, it's the old, cold way, like a hand reaching for the back of my neck. I turn around, and there they are, my parents. My mother looks older, not dramatically, but somehow smaller. My father stands beside her with a cane, his jaw tighter than I remember. For a split second, it feels like my old life has caught up with me. My mother steps forward and says my name again, softer this time. Noah looks up at me and asks who they are. I rest my hand on his shoulder and say, "They are people from my old life, sweetheart. Stay with me." My mother flinches as if I've slapped her, but I've only spoken the truth. She starts babbling about trying to reach me, being in town for a few days, and how this might be a sign to talk. My father stands there silently, waiting for me to give him an opening, just like he always did. But I'm not that woman anymore. I look at both of them and say, I do not hate you. I do not need revenge. But my children will not grow up believing love means humiliation, control, and silence. I will not teach them to beg for scraps from people who only wanted me when I was useful. My mother starts crying before I finish. My father finally speaks, "We were family." As if that word alone could undo all the pain. I nod and say, yes. And that is exactly why this mattered so much. Then I take Noah's hand and walk away, and they don't follow. This moment didn't come out of nowhere. It was the culmination of years of pain and struggle within my family. I come from a wealthy family in New York City. My father, Victor, is a powerful real estate tycoon. He's always been controlling and demanding, believing that success is measured by wealth and status. My mother, Isabella, is a socialite who spends her days attending galas and charity events. She's more concerned with maintaining the family's image than with the well-being of her children. I have an older sister, Lily, who is a high-profile fashion designer. She's the apple of my parents' eyes, always in the spotlight, and knows exactly how to play the game to please them. My younger sister, Ava, is sweet-natured but lacks the courage to stand up for herself or others. I, on the other hand, have always been different. I own a small event planning company. I've built it from the ground up, one client at a time, working long hours and making countless sacrifices. But my father has always dismissed my business as a hobby, something I'll eventually grow out of. It all came to a head on a fateful Tuesday morning. I had just dropped my kids, Noah and Mia, off at school and stopped at a coffee shop on my way to my first client of the day. I was half awake, checking emails and thinking about an upcoming event when my phone lit up with the family group chat for my mother's birthday. I opened it, expecting the usual chatter about party details. Instead, I found a message from my father. He told me not to come to the birthday dinner, saying that the whole family didn't want me there. Then he called me a failure. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. It wasn't shock that held me still, it was the realization that I had finally reached my breaking point. No more excuses, no more pretending that their words didn't hurt. I smiled and typed back, asking if he had really chosen his pride and money over his own daughter. I then canceled everything: the private room, the catering, the decorations. I had paid a deposit of $5,000 weeks ago for a dinner they thought they could have without me. Some people in the chat laughed, thinking it was a joke. Others added cruel comments, making it clear that this wasn't a momentary outburst, this was who they had always been. When I got back to my car, I didn't cry. I just sat there, hands on the steering wheel, looking through the windshield at the people coming in and out of the coffee shop. I knew this message was just the tip of the iceberg. My father had been undermining my business for years. He never took it seriously, calling it my little project when it was just family. Lily, on the other hand, was the golden child. She had a glamorous lifestyle, designer clothes, and a string of high-profile clients. She knew how to talk to my father, how to agree with him without sounding weak, and how to make her ambition look elegant. Ava was easier to love but harder to trust. She would sit silently when I was being criticized, and then later, she would send me a text saying she didn't agree. But her silence in the moment was just as hurtful. My mother always played the peacemaker, but in a way that protected my father. She would tell me not to take things so personally, that it was just how my father was. She would ask me to be the bigger person, which in our family meant being quiet and submissive. The real fight had started about a year ago. My father wanted me to merge my event planning company with one of his real estate projects. On paper, it sounded like a great opportunity, but in reality, he just wanted to control me. He wanted my creativity, my hard work, and my client base, but only if I did things his way. When I refused, telling him I wanted to keep my company independent, he looked at me as if I had betrayed him. After that, the comments from my family got even more hurtful. Lily said I was too emotional to run a real business. My mother asked why I always had to make things difficult. My father told me that pride was expensive for someone with my income. They even took shots at my husband, Ethan. He's a music teacher at a local school, and they thought he wasn't ambitious enough. They made me feel like I had chosen the wrong life just because I couldn't be controlled. When I got home, Ethan was in the kitchen grading papers. He looked up and knew something was wrong as soon as he saw my face. I showed him the message without saying a word. He read it slowly, then read my reply, and set the phone down calmly. He didn't tell me to forgive them or that family was family. He just asked, "What do you want to do now?" I leaned against the counter and said, "I think I am done trying to earn love from people who only respect me when I make myself smaller." Ethan nodded and said, "Then stop shrinking." That afternoon, I did something my family would never understand. I got quiet. I didn't leave the group chat, block anyone, or send a long emotional message. I let the silence speak for itself. I then called an old friend from college, Stella. She runs a digital marketing agency for small businesses. She had been telling me for years that my company's online presence didn't match the quality of my work. I told her I was ready for a full-scale relaunch. Stella moved quickly. She rebuilt my website from the ground up, created client testimonials, and produced project videos. Within 3 weeks, inquiries doubled. By the end of the month, I was booked out further than I had ever been. Meanwhile, my personal life on social media remained the same. I posted pictures of my kids, Mia at a dance recital and Noah at a soccer game. I shared simple moments of our daily life, and this seemed to bother my family. Lily was the first to reach out. She sent me a private message saying, "Glad to see you're okay. Mom has been upset. And this has gone on long enough." There was no apology, just the same superior tone. I left it unread. 2 days later, my mother texted me, "No matter what happens, I am still your mother." I stared at the message for a long time. In our family, motherhood was used as an excuse for their behavior. I didn't reply. After the birthday dinner, Ava sent me a message. She said the party had been strange. People kept asking where I was. When they realized I had paid for the private room and planned the menu, the truth started to come out. My mother tried to pretend it didn't matter, but her smile never seemed right. My father got quieter and Lily snapped at the staff. Ava also admitted that my father had made the decision to exclude me on his own. No one else had voted on it. She said she was scared to speak up because she was afraid of my father and Lily. She also thought I would come back like I always did. Ava's words hit me hard. She said, "They only love you when you are useful and quiet." It was like a light bulb went off in my head. I had been playing a role for so long, being the helpful daughter, the one who fixed everything. But as soon as I stopped, I became disposable. I met Ava at a coffee shop near the lake. She looked tired and worn out. She apologized for her silence and all the times she had let me down. I believed her, but I knew I couldn't go back. I told her, I was never the problem in that family. She agreed and said, "No, you were the one keeping it from falling apart." That night, after dinner, Ethan found me in the garage with an empty cardboard box. He asked, "Are we doing this?" I nodded and said, "Yes. This time, we are leaving for real." The next morning, I made a list of all the things I needed to do: transfer business paperwork, finish current contracts, talk to the kids' school, and start packing. My cousin, Leo, who lives in Seattle, called me that afternoon. He had a rental property available. It had 4 bedrooms, a quiet street, and good schools. He told me to leave for good if I was serious. Over the next few weeks, we started packing up our house. The kids thought it was an adventure. We let them draw on the boxes, and Ethan wrote "Seattle or bust" on one of them, making the kids laugh. As the move got closer, my family tried to reach out. Lily sent a long message about how I was tearing the family apart. My mother wrote an email full of guilt-tripping. Ava called a few times, but I didn't answer. My father texted me, "You are taking this too far." A month ago, that message would have devastated me. But now, it just confirmed that leaving was the right decision. A week before the move, I opened the family group chat for the first time in days. It was filled with normal chatter, as if I had never existed. I scrolled through it and then left the chat without saying a word. My phone started ringing: Ava, Lily, and then my mother. I turned it face down and kept packing. The last night in our house, Ethan and I sat on the floor of our empty bedroom. The kids were asleep on air mattresses. He asked me one last time if I was sure. I looked around the room and felt lighter than I had in years. I said, "I am not leaving because I am angry. I am leaving because I finally understand what staying costs." We left before sunrise the next morning. Ethan drove the SUV with the kids, and I followed in the rental truck. Before I got in, I took a photo of the empty living room and posted it with the caption, "Sometimes leaving is the only way to grow." 6 months in Seattle have changed my life. The air is different, the house is quieter, and the light through the kitchen windows is softer. Mia has made new friends, and Noah sleeps through the night. Ethan found a teaching job at a local school, and he's happier than ever. I've rebuilt my event planning business here. I'm working with local clients, and my business is growing steadily. I don't have to deal with the constant criticism and control from my family anymore. I still hear things about my family through mutual friends. My father tells people I overreacted, and my mother says she doesn't understand what happened to me. But I don't care. I'm busy, I'm happy, and I've built a life where their approval doesn't matter. This experience has taught me that self-respect, healthy boundaries, and emotional strength are essential in any relationship. Love should never require humiliation, silence, or the loss of one's identity. I left not out of revenge, but out of a need to protect myself and my family. And I'm glad I did.